Fish suit here. Also joining me, my buddy Vlor. You look skeptical, Vlor. You look skeptical, Vlor, that I'm anybody's favorite DM in the entire world.
No, I think you're okay.
Well, listen. What about Zund Master though? Because Zund Master's never played D&D, so by default, I must be Zund's favorite DM in the entire world.
Yeah, I'd say so. Hey, you're on the list.
Vlor, I'm not getting the kind of enthusiasm for this as I really feel like we deserve. I welcome everyone to Unconscious and Dying, our D&D recap podcast. This is episode 4. Vlor, your face is going to disappear on the VOD here for just a second as I turn off the sound effects, which I remembered that I forgot to do. Because Wookie, you know what's going to happen is Wookie's going to come in here and he's going to start playing sound effects, and it's just going to happen.
Let Wookie lose.
How's it going, Negamir? How are you today, dude? Unconscious and Dying episode 4. We recap the 2 live plays of D&D that we do on my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/fishsuit. So if you're watching this on YouTube, drop the follow on the Twitchers, the subscription here on YouTube, all that good stuff. Vlor, how are you this Sunday morning, my friend?
Well, I'm doing all right after getting just a few hours of sleep. I'm doing pretty good.
Is it because you're up playing Ark Survival Evolved all night long?
Yeah. That, and then I had to wrap a gift for my wife. Today's her birthday. So.
Oh, happy birthday to your wife. Why were you waiting to the last moment to wrap the gift? And also, the way you phrased that made it sound like it took several hours to wrap the gift.
Well, it kind of did because it was 2 a.m. and I was super tired.
I see. This is a non-D&D related fun story, Flora, but my dad never wrapped a gift in his life, and so either he gave the gift to my grandmother to wrap and give to us, or he wrapped it just in aluminum foil. That's not a joke.
Aluminum foil?
He would wrap whatever the gift was. He would just wrap it in enough aluminum foil to cover the whole box or whatever, and that was his gift wrapping.
Did he ever tell you don't tear it up because we're using that to cook steaks later?
Yeah, exactly. That's going under the broiler later. So unwrap that gift really carefully. Well, Flora, I'm happy to be spending this Sunday morning with you. I feel like, unless we keep talking about fun family stories, that this may be the quickest episode of Unconscious and Dying ever, because we only did 2 short sessions for both of our campaigns this week. So I want to start with the most recent session that we streamed, which was the Rime of the Frost Maiden. In this campaign, we started up here in Caer Konig, which honestly has been... you've spent as much time in Caer Konig as almost any place else in Ten Town so far. I mean, I know this session is young, but Caer Konig is probably you're most familiar with Caer Konig and its residents of all of the towns. So we started up in Caer Konig. Let's remind everybody of what that looks like. I'll take you there as well, Vlora. I don't know if you have Roll20 open or not, but I suspect that you don't. But so we started up here in Caer Konig, where we had ended the previous session talking about the various sacrifices that people were making. And you guys finally got your long rest. I don't think that there was still several stacks of exhaustion. I think everybody had at least 1 stack, and then Cleo the Bard had 2. Cleo this week also, by the way, played by Gamer Heroine, because Sunflower could not join us, so we had a hashtag guest Bard. And you guys got your long rest, and it was basically, let's go turn in these ingots, this giant sled of ingots that you had. And so as you passed the speaker's house, you wanted to give him your well wishes. He just so happened to be passed out in the bushes out front after having walked home from the bar. And you guys, did a good deed. You went and put him in his bed, and you got to check out his house a little bit. It looked like the back of the house was where he lived. The front of the house was where he might conduct official business, but it didn't look like there was much official business being conducted, to be honest, up here in the, like, one of the northernmost towns.
I'm actually surprised he didn't freeze to death.
Well, so it's funny you say that. So I don't know if you remember this, but the first time you met him, he looked like he wasn't even like wearing heavy clothes outside. Remember, this is the speaker of Caer Konig is Trovis, a silver dragonborn. So yeah, you noticed that he wasn't even like, didn't even seem affected by the cold. He wasn't even wearing like a very heavy coat when you saw him the first time. But you tucked him in, you put him to bed, and then as you hit the road here to Caer Dineval, you sidled up to Kindar. Gusto sidled up to Kindar on your walk down to Caer Dineval, which is just a few hours walk. And you finally kind of we got to hear a little piece of Kindar's backstory. Now, I think that it's possible that Kindar would have maybe offered up this information without any prompting, but kudos to you to remember his reaction and to know as you were heading back down through here that that was something. And so as you headed down here to Caer Dineval, Kindar told you the story of how he had been. Well, I mean, what's your recollection of it?
Basically, he showed up in the town, and the cult who was living in the Caer thought he was one of their members who had escaped. So they snagged him up, and he ended up charming them using the friend spell, I think it was, to get them to let him go.
Yeah, so so when you guys came through here the first time, he kind of gave the Caer the side eye. I think you guys noticed, some of you guys noticed it. And so yeah, as you're walking back down here, he finally kind of opens up and says, I was, kind of abducted. There's a bunch of tieflings in the Caer. They're running a cult. They mistook me for somebody who, they knew or whatever, and they had captured me, but due to some of my magics, I was able to escape. I don't want to go back there, kind of thing. And you did notice that just generally, like, there was activity here in Caer Dineval. It wasn't like a ghost town, but but there just seems to be like less people out and about. People are definitely like either down in the docks fishing or they're in their homes. There's not a lot of it doesn't look like there's a lot of people just out. There's not a hustle and bustle here in Caer Dineval. It's very business-like. But having this giant cart, I think that everybody was just anxious to kind of complete this first of your quests.
From what Kindar said was that the cult was procuring up most of the resources in this town, or something of the sort.
Yeah,
so there really wasn't very much left.
Seems like they were. It seems like they. Yeah, it's still mysterious, right? You're not. It's like that there's some nefarious activity going on here. And Kindar had like a limited. He limitedly saw what was happening, and so he didn't have like a complete explanation of it. I think that some of what you heard probably from him was fact, and some of it was speculation based on what happened to him there. But yeah, you're just not super sure what's going on in the Caer, but it was. And I think in the party's opinion, it was not the right time to go in there and and investigate. Even though I'm sure that and this is another thing, Vlor, because this is the first of, I would say, several frayed ends of threads for the plot of this campaign that were revealed to you during this session. So we had a pretty short session. There was, it was 2 hours long. There's no combat, and most of it was, here's a thing you could do. Here's a thing you could do. Here's a thing you could do. And so you guys are finally starting to rack up here's stuff that you can pursue from now on. And this is the first of those.
the side quest.
Yeah, you're starting to get well, and this is the thing is you don't know what's a side quest and what's a main quest right now either. It's like some of the stuff, like this, like that could lead to something larger than just a side quest. You're not really sure. You're not really sure yet. But in any
Everything's
case,
a side quest till you make it a main quest.
until the person you're fighting is like, I am the leader. He has a little name tag on.
Yeah.
So you left Caer Dineval, just kind of passed through and headed to Bryn Shander. This was quite a long trip here from Caer Dineval to Bryn Shander, is about 10.5 hours. And also, I would just quickly to mention that it was a little bit warmer than normal. I had said it was.
Yeah.
This few days of travel was actually a little bit more pleasant than your travel up there. What did you make of that? What did you make of what do you make of the weather? Like, is that something that is, as you're traveling through here, is it like constantly on your mind, or?
Yeah, well, you know that Gusto is not something that someone that is very adept at dealing with the cold. So yeah, I mean, I guess. Well, it also plays into his ideas of becoming a merchant and supplying goods and stuff like that, because the weather is very important for that.
Yeah, so a little bit warmer than on this travel back to Bryn Shander, but it was pretty uneventful, your time on the road. It was just basically a day, and you're spending a day of travel. And you made it back into Bryn Shander with, no problems at all, basically. Got back into town, and I think you guys went right to the Northlook to get yourselves a room and board for the night. And the bartender, Scram Shacks, I think, Scram Sacks, was pretty happy to see Jordy. Gave you guys all free room and board. You'd been gone for about a week from Bryn Shander. Yep. Had a quick drink, went down to the Black Iron Blades to turn in your first quest. And this is where you got some other threads here as well. So you turned in your quest. Congratulations. Here's your money for the ingots. The dwarves were, very grateful, obviously. And yeah. You met another dude there. You remember the dude's name? Because I for some reason, it's a blank spot for this guy's name. It's like Gorn or something like that.
I think it is Gorn. I've got it written down with our 10% discount and stuff.
Yeah, so he was friends with the dwarves that you gave the proprietor of the Black Iron Blades. Gave you guys a permanent discount there for having done that. You also got a little bonus cash because you turned this quest in so quickly. You could have gotten distracted by the many other things. I mean, think about that fortress out in the Kelvin's Cairn. I mean, you don't know how big that was, how much time you could have spent there. You just don't know. So,
well, according to these guys, it doesn't exist. So,
right. Another thing you found out: nobody knows anything about this. In fact, the dwarves were sort of like scoffing at the idea that something like this could exist. I mean, the dwarves obviously, proud, a proud people.
Yeah,
and the thought of Dwergar having set up shop so closely to their home was like abhorrent to them. It was not something that they would even entertain the belief. You guys are mistaken. There's no way. It's a snow mirage. Whatever. No way. And Gorn was if that's not his name, by the way, that's his name now. He was also confused by what you were saying. Maybe you could talk a little bit about what because you're kind of starting the franchise here. I feel like you wanted to kind of begin the franchise. So what are your ideas for that as moving forward?
Well, I kind of set the stage back.
Yeah.
Destroying that shop kind of removed that surplus over there. So I feel like Gusto's main idea through this whole thing was get the merchants set up, get shops, get the supply lines, things like that, because he heard that this place is kind of barren. I mean, everybody needs supplies here. So, um, he's got those two places that he saw that, are fairly low on resources and supplies. So, I mean, and now we've got a discount at a shop here. He's basically a smithy.
Yep.
So we can order goods and stuff from him and have them sent up. And it felt like a way to earn a little bit of money. And I think get that name out there, the Spark Your Interest trading company.
Yeah, no, it's it's you're right. I mean, you've already set some of the groundwork for this, so I, as the DM, am pretty interested to see where you take this idea. I mean, I like the you guys leave 10 towns or whatever, and there's like a 24-hour Vlor mart in every
Oh
one of the
man,
10 towns. I like that. I like that thought. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
the corner Sparks.
Uh, I think I forgot to mention, I can't remember exactly the chronology of it, but at some point you were, it was either when you had left the Black Iron Blades or when you first got into Bryn Shander. But in any case, Kindar overheard a conversation in the bar
Mm.
from somebody who was from the unfortunately named Dugan's Hole. Dugan's Hole is a town in the south east of 10 towns. It's the southeasternmost town, I believe. Excuse me. And there are so many maps, Floor, I can't tell you. It's like there are so many maps in this that it is extremely difficult for me to quickly find the one that I'm trying to show everyone in chat. Also, I can't read. It's extremely difficult when you can't read. So yeah, Dugan's Hole down here. I guess it's not the southeasternmost. It's definitely the southernmost though.
You staring at his hole?
And yeah, I'm just looking at his hole. I'm trying to put my finger right on his hole, right on Dugan's Hole. But anyway, you heard a rumor basically, or a fisherman was in Bryn Shander, and he had just brought his catch in for the day, and said, "I was lucky to make it out of Dugan's Hole because we have been terrorized by two large, intelligent winter wolves." So that kind of perked up interest, and Kindar shared that with the rest of the party. And so this is another one of these threads, right? Like, oh, okay, something weird's going on down there. That's something else maybe we can investigate. And also, while you were speaking with Gorn, he mentioned that the people of Targos. So you guys had said, well, there's this fortress out on Kelvin's Cairn. Does anybody know anything about it? And he said, oh, I don't know anything about it. And then I think Jordy Jackson, as Jordy asked, well, is there anybody? Like, is there anybody who would be patrolling Calvin's Cairn or anything, any kind of people we could get together, mountaineers? And you learned that in this town of Targos that there are some people who are planning an expedition to Calvin's Cairn. So, there's some discussion there as to, okay, well, we can maybe insert ourselves into the expedition, go back out there with some people maybe, and, explore this thing at Calvin's Cairn. And then the last thing that happened here in Bryn Shander, why don't you tell us, Flora, as you remember, because there was one more kind of weird, not weird, but interesting, let's say, a request that you got here in Bryn Shander.
So we had a young lady, I believe she was elf or half elf, walk up to us at the table and request assistance for finding a chewinga.
Yes, it was Danica Greysteel, the lawful neutral half elf.
Yeah, she presented something that would help us locate the chewingas. And as soon as she presented it, I think that everybody in the party suspected her of being the thief from the other town.
Gotcha. Okay, so you think Danica is the thief?
Yeah, the lamp. We were checking to see. I think everybody was really checking to see if that was the lamp that should have been hanging from. Uh, was it the hook, line, and sinker?
Yeah, that's right. Up in Caraconic.
Yeah. That was a big thing because I would assume that she would have been looking around or something, or it could have been procured for her research, something like that. But
That's interesting, Flora. I know that you guys were really checking out the lamp. I did not put two and two together that was maybe why you were checking it out, to see if it was the same lamp. In any case, from what Danica told you, you don't know how much is true, how much is fabrication, really. I think you did some perception insights checks on her. I don't know if your rolls were great, but you really never found. You didn't get the feeling that she was lying to you, or at least nobody got that feeling. But yeah, so she's looking for these little elemental spirits. She gave you this lantern of, what is it? A lantern of finding?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I know that it's supposed to like light up or change colors when there's a chewinga around.
Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah, it's something like that. But it's basically like set to elementals. Chewingas are elementals. She says, as you're exploring the towns, check the lantern, because if it goes off, then you're going to be in a place with one of these little dudes, and she wants one of these little dudes because she thinks that if she can do some scientific like research, some study on them, and that they might be a key to unlocking the mystery of what's happening, or the curse of Icewind Dale that's happening right now. So
I think it's canon also that the lamp is now attached to Jordy's nipple.
wait. So how did I'm the DM. How did I miss that?
I'm pretty sure that he attached it with a nipple clamp. And
I do. I do remember something about the nipple clamp. This is why we can't let Gamer Heroine really play in this game, Floor. She can only play the other game. This kind of thing happens when Gamer Heroine's in the game.
There was two really, I feel, eye-opening, at least one, character development points. I mean, when I was asking about setting up the trade route, Jordy was like, "Yeah, I'm cool with that. Money, yeah." But wow, Kindar was very, I don't know, kind of standoffish about it. He was like, "Nah, you know what? I don't want to really do any business with you."
Yeah, he definitely was. It's funny that you mentioned that, Vlor, because I went and you can always, if you're out in chat, if you're out in our live chat right now, you can always type !YouTube to watch some of our latest episodes, our latest sessions. But I was doing that very thing, Vlor, just kind of quickly scrambling through our last session of Frost Maiden, and I kind of popped in right at that part where. And like I'll never not be impressed with new players in D&D, because sometimes as an established player in D&D, sometimes I think the tendency is to just go along with the party in some ways. But we really, and I as a DM, and I think all the party really encourages you to act and respond to these situations in ways that your character would. And I know that Zund had talked to me personally about how that was a really interesting part of D&D for him. Like that was probably the most interesting part for him, was the fact that you're separating your own personal, what I would do, what Fishsuit would do in this situation, versus what your character would do. And so he was Kindar was not real happy with your character, Vlor, and he made it known that I don't really think it was right what you did in Caer Konig. I was there. There was not, what am I going to do? I'm not going to fight you, but also I don't think this is right. And now you're going to use what you did, which I think was a bad act, to further advance this business or whatever that you're doing. And I don't want to be part of this if you're going to go around 10 towns scamming people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really impressed by that, honestly. And you guys and honestly, for the whole 2-hour session, you guys had some good like little role play as well. It's like your characters were interacting with one another, and even Gamer Heroine as Cleo was stepping in and like maybe giving away too much of the ghost, but at the same time it was, you guys are finding out little tidbits and stuff about each other now. It's been a week, you've been a week together, so
yeah. She was pretty slick. When I was talking to Jordy and he was asking about the whole wallet thing, and she just mouths over, Gusto. And I was like, crap.
Yeah, well, because you had left a note in Kaer Konig that was like, hey, we brought you inside. Thank you again. Your buddy, Gusto. And you signed it as Gusto, which is really, we all know that's your character's name, but really everybody in the game so far knows you as Valor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, super. I thought that was great. And Gamer Heroine to step in there and be able to provide some of the plot point type stuff. I thought I was impressed by that as well. So, yeah, this was the session of opening paths in Frostmaiden. You had been very singularly focused on, and rightly so, on finishing out this starting quest, which took you through a few of the 10 towns. But now it's really starting to open up. You have several different threads you can explore, and it sounded like, and we'll get Sunflower's input as well when we start up our new session, but it sounds like the goal right now, any Dugan's Hole is a goal, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. It sounds like you guys are going to go check out these Winter Wolves. That seemed to be, that was the kind of consensus that you still are not real pumped about going out into exploring that thing in Kelvin's Cairn yet. You'd really like to have some more information. There's the cult, you could always try to go deal with the cults. You're not super sure about that or exactly what's going on there. The thievery in Kaer Konig, another loose thread out there. The expedition in Targus, and then of course just generally all the towns that you're passing through, you're making sure that you're trying to find some Chwinga for Danica. So lots to do here. I gotta say, of every campaign that I've done, Wizards writes a lot of these as fairly linear. There's always like I wasn't expecting my party to do that. That kind of non-linear, but for this particular campaign, it is very much like, what's one of the 50 things that you could do right now? What would you like to do? Which is both exciting as a DM, but also like very challenging too. Like during the session, even when we had some real technical difficulties during the session as well, but during the session, even Jordy had asked something of one of the characters, and I knew that there was an answer. It just like took forever to pull up because the mountain of writing and narrative for this campaign is massive. And so at any point you could be like, well, tell me about tourmaline, and I'm like, all right, hang on. It's gonna take me some time to pop that open and tell you about it. So
I feel like it feels more like the Baldur's Gate games, where you get your quests, but then it's pretty open. And I like that about this, rather than a dungeon crawl.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you can really just do and go wherever you want. I mean, there's no restrictions on this. So, yeah, very much open world. I mean, if you guys wanted to, go back to Kaer Konig and do more there, you know what I mean? Like, it's not everything is exhausted. It's not like, all right, well, you're done in Kaer Konig, see you guys later. It's like you can go back there whenever, and maybe that'll be where the first Vormart is 24-hour Vormart. Anything to add before we shift gears over to our Fandelver campaign?
One thing, Gusto speaks primordial,
Okay.
which allows him to speak to elementals.
Okay.
That's kind of one of the reasons why I was asking about the Chewinga as much. I didn't know if that would give any kind of insight as to whether he knew about the Chewingas.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think you got like a very sort
Very
of
little.
general information about a Chewinga. Just a little elemental creature. Old wives' tale mostly, you know, but she seems to think that they exist. It's not completely outside of the realm of possibility that they're real.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much all you knew, and I think you just had like a terrible roll.
I did.
If I'm gonna be honest, I think that the only reason you got some poor information is because your roll was pretty bad. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm trying to think of stuff that we went off script for here a little bit, and because I think that's an interesting part of it, because that'll give you some insights as the player to the player as to what is actually in here, what is actually in the narrative, and what is not. But I think we mostly stuck to the script here. The Danica, I think that the only real difference maybe between other ways that this campaign is run and this one is that Danica's Chwinga quest is actually suggested to be given to you earlier in the campaign.
So like the first quest?
It's one of the suggested starting quests for this is that particular one. But I wanted, the reason that I didn't do that, just a little insight into my mind, the reason I didn't start with that is because that quest is so general that I felt like I wanted to start you guys out with some idea of where you wanted to go, like some concrete place of where you wanted to go, rather than, I don't know, it's in one of these 10 towns. Anyway, thanks, bye, type deal. So that's why we did the quests in the order that we've done them, or you've gotten the information in the order that you've gotten it, basically, or when to start it out. But but for that quest as well, she was like very hesitant. She did not want to leave Bryn Shander. She was not an adventurer. I don't want to leave Bryn Shander. I'm not an adventurer like you. I couldn't survive. I couldn't survive out there. And so if it comes down to you forcing me to leave Bryn Shander or not doing my quest, then I will leave. Because like I'm not going to go out and explore the tundra. That's not me. I'm a scientist. But please bring one of these back. Please bring one of these Chwingas back. Bring it back alive. I'll make it worth your while. I think it'll help us. I think it'll help everybody. So. So that was a fun little short session. We got a lot of new threads, some new stuff to explore next time. I'm looking forward to our next campaign.
Yep, me too.
Our next session.
Full session.
Yeah, full sessions. That's what I want. I want to get back to some 4-hour sessions because you can really make some headway in those sessions. Okay, let's shift gears here over to our second campaign. This is streamed every other Tuesday, and this is actually the campaign that's coming up next. Here chronologically, so we're going to be playing the next session of Fandelver on Tuesday. Another short session. We had a hashtag guest druid. Is that right? Or I was just not feeling well. It was election night, and I was feeling sick to my stomach for some reason.
Well, I mean that's no secrets there. I mean.
No, I wasn't feeling very well, and so we did another short session here. But we did have everybody. There was no hashtag against anybody. This session started at the Cragmaw Castle, where you're just still kind of finishing up, I think.
We had some fun there.
Yeah, so it started out with a little bit of a tense moment. Definitely, I would say like more of some heavier moments than this campaign has been used to. It's been very kind of lighthearted, Scooby-Doo sleeping bag type of campaign. But your character is going through some mental anguish right now. He's not super stable. He's not in a great place, and so
Yeah.
it started out where there was a couple of the goblin cultists, and I think you had even mentioned in the last Unconscious and Dying that you were gonna that maybe like those guys might not make it out of there. I don't know.
Yeah.
So set us the scene as they were leaving, and then as you remember what happened. For
Well, so the mindset of Azrael at the time, he had the little flashback. He's being led around by a goblin. This goblin is letting all these hobgoblins and other goblins go free, and it just finally got to him, and he put that mask on. And I feel like when he put that mask on, it not really changed him, but it kind of alleviated some of the uh, inhibition.
mm-hmm.
Um, so it felt like it was time to stop letting goblins go. And yeah, he did not feel like these other goblins should go, especially since his kill was stolen from him. Um, so, he put the sword to the goblin's chest and was ready to
Yeah,
run him through.
and you were basically like, "Tell me why I shouldn't do this."
Yeah.
And Cunning Fox as Droop, who is now was a goblin, now a halfling. Um, I am I still under the smite category? Oh no. Oh well. It's only you guys, five guys out there watching this live, so it's not a big deal. Um, he couldn't really give you an answer that you liked, right? And so you went to basically run this goblin through. We sat and debated. I wouldn't say for a long time, but we sat and debated briefly as to what kind of interventions, how we were going to handle it. Oh, excuse me. This is what happens when we do this podcast like 10 minutes after I wake up, Floor. I only blame myself, but listen. Um, let me ask you this. Do you think that allowing the contested run through of the goblin, do you think that was appropriate? Do you think that you
Yes.
should have been able to just kill him, or do you agree with the fact that I allowed a chance for your party to stop that?
I completely agree. I think that leads to a fantastic role-playing opportunity, um, to either divide the party or to bring them closer together. It allows to hear the story from the characters, not just from the narrative. And I think it's great.
Yeah, and you guys did take some there was like a lot more role play in this campaign than we're used to. And I am also, and we had discussed this during the last podcast as well, Vlor, where I was like, I am still learning how to be a effective DM, and so I am one of the things I think an effective DM does is say nothing sometimes, or do nothing, even though sometimes on stream those sort of pregnant pauses are a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think that it's important to give the players the opportunity to interact with each other rather than just me as the DM pushing the narrative along or pushing the plot along. And so I definitely am trying to consciously step back from it a little bit and be like, all right, just let them do this, let them figure it out, let them talk to each other. But Mini Bulba, as I had some role play interaction with you where you were like pretty dejected and she was trying to cheer you up. But Droop steps in, doesn't allow you to kill the two goblins. You just kind of collapse in a pile, and while everybody's kind of getting their long rest, you were kind of apart from everybody. But I think that I actually kind of cozies up to you and is just like, I'm going to stay here. You're my friend. I know you're going through something.
Yeah.
But you know, you got your you let those two goblins go. You got your long rest. The goblins suddenly then were from North Jersey, because every one of my accents devolve. First of all, of course, you got your buddy Gundren Rockseeker here, and he started talking like Hulk Hogan. which I think that I was very pleasantly surprised, because we found a new voice that Fishsuit can do, which is the Hulk voice. Um, but yeah, I think he. Do you remember anything that he said specifically here, Vlor? Because I can't remember what the tenor of the conversation with Gundren was. I think you were just asking where the map was, and he was like, I don't know. I've been unconscious for since I've gotten here. Basically, they wake me up. They give me a few sips of water. They kick me in the ribs, and I'm passed back out.
I think he said brother like a
He
couple
was like,
times.
I don't know, brother. I don't know where the map is, brother. But you were talking to the goblins. Droop was talking to the goblins, and the goblin was like, "Hey, there was some gnolls here like a week ago, and maybe they took the map. We don't know. Hey, forget about it." So this is the first time you've really heard of gnolls, and then just from what you learned from the goblins, that the gnolls are acting as a messenger, sort of between the Black Spider and the Cragmaw Castle. They mentioned the Black Spider. They don't really have any information about it, but that's the dude that's in charge, basically. And as we're talking here, Vlor, just another subscription on YouTube. So, man, we're really closing in on 100 subs on YouTube. Thank you guys, everybody who's subscribed so far. We are really close to 100, and the 100 is the magic number where we get my very own custom URL, which is when you've really made it. I'll quit my job. I'll be able to quit my job once we get that 100 subs on YouTube. So sorry, listen, I have a custom URL on YouTube. But thank you. That happened in real time. We got another sub, so just one step closer.
That's awesome.
So you heard some gnolls. That's that. And then basically, I think Droop left the goblins in charge. He's like, "You guys got this. Clean out the castle. Maybe gave them some orders. We might learn some more of private conversations they had that didn't take place, but." King Droop said, "Stay here, establish this. I'll be back. I'll be back."
Yeah.
And then off you went back to Phandalin.
Yeah.
We've
go
ahead.
One thing that Droop had asked something about when he was a goblin, and if I thought about killing him, and I said, yeah.
You're like, yeah, you're lucky I didn't. Maybe the only
Yeah.
maybe the only reason that you didn't is because you were in such dire straits then. I mean, like, you as a party, like, it's possible that Droop could have just TPK'd you guys because you were in such bad shape. That was if you'll remember, that was a fight in a very narrow hallway with 3 bugbears. in which at one point I think Cunning Fox was even like, if XYZ happened, I was just going to leave because I felt like we were all going to die if we all stayed there. So he's like, if one more person had went down in that fight, that he was going to gather up Gamer Heroine's character, who he could easily carry, and leave because there was going to be no other option.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a goblin came out, kind of startled you. And you're right, he was very lucky that, you didn't just run Droop through right then and knock him dead. I mean, you had killed countless goblins up to that point, so it would have been kind of no different. You found your horse, by the way. Elmo 2 was alive and well. I did make Gamer Heroine roll a d6. I hesitate to think of the reaction that would have taken place if she had rolled the 1 and the horse was dead again.
We would have had to kick her out of the party.
I think that you guys would have kicked me out of the party if I killed another one of your horses. But without too much trepidation here, you do make it back to Phandalin, and boy, something ain't right. Something's not right here in Phandalin. It's dusk when you get there. It's kind of the sun is just setting, and you don't see a soul. Nobody at Barthen's Provisions as you're walking in, and I think that as soon as you kind of get past Barthen's Provisions in the smithy, you guys are like, "Fuck, something's going on.
Yeah,
Something's up."
yeah.
So you do break the party up. I want to say about right here, past the smithy, where you guys have your wagon and the horse, obviously, and you guys decide to head out to Ettermath Orchard. You're like, let's head over to Ettermath, while Droop, our highest stealth character, is going to check out the town square.
Yep.
And I, just as an aside, I love breaking up. I like splitting the party is obviously a meme. Oh, don't split the party. But from the DM's perspective, I love splitting the party because it allows me to do like little mini cliffhangers, and I always view D&D as a DM as a television show that I'm participating in. And so when I'm describing stuff and when we're doing stuff, I'm always thinking about not like really what it looks like from somebody's perspective, but what it looks like on camera. And so that's like just an insight into how I view these games. And so it's cool when you guys split and are doing different things, because I can be like, all right, back where Vlor is, back where Azrael and Gamer Barterwin are, and then okay, well now we're back in the town square with Droop, and here's what's happening. And then you get a little break, right? As a character, as a player, you get a little break because you're not actively involved, and so you get to really take in everything that's happening elsewhere, and you're not like nervous about like me saying, all right, what do you do? Because you're not involved, and so you can really just kind of sit back and enjoy it. But we did have that kind of split thing happening. I'll start with Droop first. So Droop gets into the town square here, and he just is crushing stealth rolls, like just crushing 20 plus every single time on stealth. And gets in there and out with no problems, not seen at all. But he does see some kind of creature, some kind of humanoid up on the roof surveying the town square, and so he knows like something's up. They never saw him, he saw it, and then he decides like, I don't want to really be here if I know that there's something nefarious happening. So he turns around and leaves the town square and starts heading back to you again, just like crushing stealth rolls the whole time. Out at the orchard, you guys turn the corner to Darren Ettermath's house, and you see him on the porch. You see him on his front porch. You're pretty far away, 300 yards probably or so, I would say. It's pretty far. And, I'm sorry, 300 feet, not yards. It's ridiculously far. This is 4 or 5 miles away, and you see him, and you're like, I think that's him on the porch. And as you get closer, I think, I don't know if you had the first take on it. How do you recall this going down, Vlor? It's been some time since we played.
That part, that whole area where we get up there is kind of a haze, but I know that I got out and snuck up there.
Yeah, you were the first person on the porch for sure. With the other, Mini Bulba, I as Fuck, and Gamer Barter, when they were back at the wagon.
Yeah, I think it was because I wanted to make sure that, it was safe before they came up, seeing as how there were other things going on in the town and like nobody there, but he's sitting on the porch.
Right, yeah, you definitely were like something weird's happening, and the weird thing that's happening as you get closer, you realize that Darren is dead. He's got a couple of arrows in the chest, and he is... as you're walking up to the house, you also see kind of in front of the house where there was a fight. You can see on the ground where there was some kind of scuffle, blood on the ground there. Excuse me. And then you could see the trail of blood as Darren kind of dragged himself back up and sat down on the front porch. And as you get up onto the porch, you realize that he basically has his last act, because he wasn't dead. He just kind of like looks at you and just a death rattle basically, and reaches out his hand to you, and then goes limp, and the thing that was in his hand falls out of his hand, and you pick it up. Azrael picks it up, and it's this badge with a symbol on it for the Order of the Gauntlet. And we found out, that Order of the Gauntlet. I don't know if I made you roll a check. I think I just was like,
Yeah.
It's basically like protectors of the realm. And it makes sense. You knew Darren was an adventurer of old. You didn't know he was part of this Order of the Gauntlet, but it certainly makes sense. And as his last act, he was basically like, I mean, how did you view that? How did you view that as a character? How did you view that as a player?
Well,
you were touched. This was a heavy moment, I think, for you as a player and for Azrael as a character.
yeah, it was difficult, because I mean, the whole thing that just went down at the castle. I mean, yeah, it was a day previously, but I mean, it just everything all at once, the same thing is happening from that flashback to now. And it felt for Azrael, it felt like his mentor again was taken away, and this badge was just like that mask. And so he picked it up and put it on.
Yeah, I feel like this is the part of the anime where the main character realizes that they do have the power to, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like to me. It feels like the part of every anime where where like time stops and you hear the internal monologue of the character as they realize that they are the hero that everybody thought they were, or whatever. Like, that just stands out to me as that.
That or anger.
Yeah, or you're like so pissed, right? Like, this is the part of Dragon Ball Z where there's like little rocks are floating up from the ground as the character's powering up. That's that's what this is part of our campaign.
Yeah, I mean, and I kind of tried to make that known with, Azrael wanting to go and take care of business and not wanting to wait for the others.
Yeah, and so in order to get to, you basically like turn heel and you quickly look around his house. There's nothing seems out of place. You don't think that any kind of battle happened in the house. Gamer Bardwin gets up there, and I think between her and they discover that some of the residue on Darren's sword was Knoll skin, Knoll hide. And so now you kind of have an idea of what's up, and Azrael is just like, I'm going. And maybe you don't even say that. You are just like walking towards the town square like, let's fucking go.
Oh, not before I went to
Oh,
Gundren.
right. Poor Gundren really got poor Gundren really got like you were an angy boy, and poor Gundren really got the brunt of it. Yeah, so you had a little interaction with Gundren where Gundren's like, I'm no fighter, brother, I can't fight, I have 4 HP. And you were like, well, you're worthless, you piece of shit. What do you
Basically.
Yeah, because you were like, Gundren, you're gonna fight, and Gundren's like, I don't think so, dude, I have 4 HP. And you were like, well, then what good are you? Basically.
Yeah.
The others in the party were a little bit more sympathetic. They were like, all right, well, you're gonna stay with Elmo, hide here in the bacon apple orchard, and make sure to feed Elmo and brush him.
I think they also knocked all of the bacon apples off the tree. That's what really got me.
Yeah, because you had to collect them off the ground. That's never fun.
Yeah.
As you were stomping towards the town square, Droop comes around and he's like telling you guys excitedly, like, there's something in the town square and it's all empty, and you're just like not hearing it. You're walking along, and then I think grabs you by the shoulder, spins you around, and is like, listen, we need to have a plan going in here. We need to survey the situation. We can't just run in guns blazing. And that was like a really tense moment as well, considering the high emotional place that your character is in. But I think eventually you kind of are like, okay, all right, this is a little bit bigger than just me. That just does, you guys do have a say in this as well. And then we went to this beautiful town square map, which I really, really love. And also, Vlora, I should mention to you, I don't think I've actually told you, but I have a subscription for Incarnate now. which
Oh,
is
nice.
a map making tool. So I can maybe share that information with you, and we can both goof around with it a little bit.
Oh
I think
yeah.
that's something that you and I would both have a lot of fun, with. I have a year subscription to Incarnate now, so like the pro version. So we should definitely check that out.
Yeah, we can make some weird shaped maps like a wang or something.
Yeah. All right, you guys fight on the tip. All right, I'm gonna move. For my move action, I'm gonna move down to the shaft, right down to the ball sack, and then. Can I see around the glands or no? Okay.
All right, I'm at the sack. Knock off.
All right. All right. Anyway. All right. So you guys get to the town square here. You guys started out kind of walking into the town square from this direction over here. This was an interesting pre-combat. I thought you guys did. I would say that in some combats you guys have been extremely prepared, and in some combats you've gone in guns blazing and not prepared at all. This was somewhere in the halfway point.
Yeah.
Where there was some stuff that was done pre-combat, then combat started unexpectedly, and it was up to you to kind of everybody to scramble into a better position. But
Yeah.
basically, you are over here as a party, and you eventually identify a couple of gnolls up here on the roof of this building, the town master's house. And you spend some turns getting closer, trying to get closer. I think you had initially, Azrael initially sneaks over to these bushes, makes it into these bushes. I can't remember if Droop had started to move forward, but basically the long and the short of it is you were finally seen. These guys were actively looking over the town square, and you had some great stealth rolls, and everybody had some great stealth rolls up to the point where you just didn't. Up to the point where they finally contested you enough to be able to see you. So they do see you. They start to bay as gnolls do, the baying of gnolls, and combat begins, which is great because we went 2 fucking full sessions almost without any combat. It's my favorite part. So had to do some combat for fuck's sake.
Man, I was gonna try and stealth the guy on top.
You almost did it, really. I think maybe there was probably going to be 3 stealth rolls to get over there, and I think that you passed the first one and failed the second one. So
I was actually at the bushes next to the house.
That's right. You made it over here, but who failed their roll? Oh, it was I that failed the roll. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember whether it was you or her. Okay, so yeah, you actually did make it over here. One more stealth roll and you would have been up on the roof. Or one more, climb up there or whatever. I think you were trying to convince me that you could acrobatics yourself up onto the roof. I wasn't exactly buying that. I think eventually I just hand waved where like, yeah, you could probably, you're a level 4 character in D&D 5e. I think you could probably fucking climb a house, I don't think that'd be the, maybe you can't climb a sheer rock face, but I think you can climb a house. You're absolutely right though. I failed the stealth roll as a giant wolf spider, and combat began. The first part of this combat was everybody trying to get onto the roof to fight these gnolls, and then the second part of the combat was everybody trying to get off of the roof because everybody's up on the roof except for Gamer Barterwin, who's basically where she is right now, and this demonic gnoll bursts out of the door and basically one-shots her. I mean, this dude is dangerous. He is dangerous. He basically slaps her down, gets a triple attack. His bite has poison in it. So he is no joke, and Gamer Barterwin was pretty much one-shotted. I think she survived the round, but round 1, but not round 2. So then the next part of the combat was you guys trying to get down off the roof to fight this fucking monstrous thing. The gnolls up on the roof, I think that one is dead and one's alive right now, as I is up there. I don't remember how many hit points I has, actually. We'll have to see. But then you also started to get some arrows from this dude up on the roof down here. And so, and we ended right in the middle of this combat. Like, this combat is active combat. When we pick up on Tuesday, we're going to be in this fight.
Yeah.
How do you, first of all, let me ask you, first of all, Vlor, talk about this maybe quickly. Just what do you think is happening? And then tell me about how you feel about ending combat in the middle of a session. Like, as far as, have you been thinking for the last 2 weeks about stuff that Azrael can do, or is it more like, or not really?
Okay. So the combat itself, it's kind of weird that they're all surrounded around that one house. That wouldn't happen to be the mayor's house or the town hall, is it?
It is, yeah. This is the town master's house.
Okay. So either they're holding people ransom in there, or somebody is working with them. It's kind of how I feel about them. As far as, ending in the middle of a combat, I mean, it's kind of hard because then you're trying to remember where you were at, what you were thinking at the time. But I try not to think about it.
Also, so you're not like obsessively planning, like, all right, so here's where we are, and if I do this, then.
Well, Azrael used all of his key points, so all he can do is
great. So he's just gonna be fisting.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So this guy that's out in front of the house right now is one of my very favorite combatants to play. This has been one of my favorite NPC to play in combat. He's got a huge arsenal of stuff that he can do, and he's very powerful, and he's really fun. Just gnolls in general have a lot of variety in 5e. I would pop up a stat block here and show you, but you're still in the combat with them, and so maybe
it's all right.
Maybe next time when we maybe in the next Unconscious and Dying, I'll pull up a stat block and we can talk about some of the stuff that these guys can do. But yeah, suffice to say that this combat is far from over. I think Gamer Barterman is unconscious and dying. I said the thing. And your party's pretty spread out. You're pretty far away from another guy who's taking some pot shots at you. So I'm interested to see how this ends, and then of course you'll get to maybe figure out what exactly is happening here in Phandalin, because you're not exactly sure yet. You don't know. Good speculation though, I would say.
Yeah.
There, but and also great map. This is a map on Patreon. Neutral Party, cool, very cool map. Very beautiful. Not exactly meant for to be Phandalin, but it certainly works, I think. And
yeah, I like the size, the scale. I think is really nice for the characters. All of the roofs and stuff like that have a decent space to move around on. Mm-hmm. It's not huge, but it's not super confined either.
Yeah, a lot of the and I've complained about this before, and I tentatively agree with you that sometimes combat should take place in some like uncomfortable, narrow areas. But I think too often Wizards is like, all right, your 4 characters and these 4 enemies are going to fight in a 10 by 10 foot room. It's like, oh, how's that fucking happening? Like, there's no way. It's like so much of the combat, I feel like sometimes is just you standing there wailing on somebody and he's like wailing on you and nobody moves and you just stand there and hit each other turn after turn. Yeah. Whereas these larger maps open up opportunities for this, like, right? Like it's going to be at least a full turn before you can get down to this dude down here. Like that's something you have to think about. Like you can't just cover the distance and be in this guy's face. He can see you coming the entire way. And so I like that kind of, stuff that happens in the combat. Yeah. So I'm excited to pick this up. This will be the next session that we do again in 2 days here on our Twitch stream. So excited to pick that up and excited to, we're definitely in the final few chapters here of the Lost Mine. So excited to see how this ends.
I'm ready.
Can't wait to murder Droop at the very end. just slash his throat.
The plot books.
Shit, I shouldn't. I mean, that was. I shouldn't have given it away. But thank you so much for joining me, Vlor. Thank you very much, dude. I enjoy doing these recap podcasts. It helps me, and I hope it helps you and our other players. You can catch us live every other Monday / every other Tuesday. I know this. Listen, if I could do anything about the schedule, I would. If I could just say every Tuesday, it'd be great. But listen, we do D&D once a week. Frost Maiden every other Monday. Fandelver every other Tuesday. After Fandelver's done, guys, we're going to switch over. And we're going to do Storm King's Thunder, which I'm pretty excited about too. That's a nice meaty campaign as well. So every other Tuesday right now, Fandelver. Vlor, thank you so much for joining me, dude. You can always catch these on my Twitch. Give a follow on the YouTube. It means a lot. And until next time, everybody, may your 20s be natural.
And your shoes be tied at the dog park.